Greetings! Welcome to another tutorial about Bloomreach XM with XIN Mods. In this video, we're going to talk about using faceted navigation nodes to navigate through our content structure in new ways. The new requirement we will be implementing in this tutorial is as follows. Our customer wants visitors of their site to navigate recipes, not just by their categories, but also by tags. To present our documents in a content structure that is different from the folder structures the documents are currently part of, we can use faceted navigation nodes. There are different types of faceted navigation you can implement, and you should read through the Bloomreach documentation to discover all of the variants. It describes them quite well. You can find the link in the description. In our case, we're going to restructure the content based on a single document field called tags. So let's add a tags field. So make sure you have your Bloomreach instance running and log in. Our content has been put there in previous tutorials, so if you're curious about how to build this, I'd advise you to have a look at the previous ones. So just a reminder, we have our recipes, some categories, and recipe documents inside of here. Great. So let's close this. So what we're going to do is going to add a new tag field. So if we go into document types and select the recipe document, and edit it, we should be able to add a new field to the bottom. So let's make a new string. And we want to be able to add more than one. And we want to be just more than one. And we can order them, that's fine. And by default, we don't want any of them to be there. So let's go and give this a name. So we want to call it recipe tags. Recipe tags. Here we go. Tags. Great. Now we hit done and we commit our changes to the document type. Now if we open a recipe document, we should have a new field at the bottom that's currently empty. So let's quickly add some tags. And I'm going to make sure that I add some tags that are the same so that we can get nice results. So this is a curry, and it's keto, and it has salmon. And let's say it's also an Italian recipe. So added some tags. Let's publish the document. Great. So this is a pasta. Pasta has shrimp. And it's also Italian. Publish. Here we go. Oh, let's remove that. Tags. Well, it's got mozzarella. Got tomato. And it's Italian. Great. So we'll keep it at this for now, because I could keep going, but it's kind of boring to watch, I'm sure. So the next thing we want to do is create a new node that defines how we're going to be navigating through our content using facets. And to create this node, we can't use the regular CMS interface. We have to go to the CMS console. So let's open it. Let's log in real quick. There you go. It should be familiar by now. So what we're going to do, and this is just a suggestion, but we're going to add a new node here called facets. And that's a folder. So facets, give it the folder type. Great. So let's write that. Now the next step is creating our faceted navigation node. It's going to be very straightforward. So let's call it recipe tags. And let's give it the type faceted navigation namespace, faceted navigation. Here we go. Okay. Now what we need to do is specify a number of properties, and the minimum you have to set is the document base, which is the base from which the faceted navigation should be restructuring content. So in our case, we want to grab the recipes folder as the document base. So we'll grab the UID that belongs to it and create a new property called hippo docbase. And you can see here, because we've made it a faceted navigation node, the console already knows which properties belong to this type of node. So we'll select docbase and put the UID in there. Great. Now the second thing is we need to specify the facets through which we will be able to navigate. And in our case, that's the new tags field that we added. And in our case, it's only one, but you're able to specify different entry points into your faceted navigation. But to keep it simple, let's do just the one. So we select this property, facets, and we say XIN Mods, which is the property name, recipe tags. So look here. Great. Okay, now if we write this, something cool will happen. So let's store this. Now all of a sudden you can see here that the console started to display results for the faceted navigation search. So this is the complete result set. These are all the documents that have this recipe tags property in them. And these are all the different values. So we can see here we have Italian, and this has a high number because we specified it a few times in these recipes, the keto one, the shrimp, and the mozzarella appetizer. Now you may notice that I was only expecting to see 3, but actually we're seeing 9. And this is because we're seeing all the different variations, all the different versions of the document. So you have the draft, the live document, and the preview document. So what we want to do is we want to add a filter to the faceted navigation definition that says, please only show us when it is a live document. So let's do that now. Let's add another field, and it's a filters. And again, you can put multiple filters here, but we're just interested in adding one. And we want to make sure that if the availability field equals live, only in that case, we want to show the document. So if we now save this, okay, now you can see that actually the results are only showing the live documents. And that's great. Yeah, so the idea is that you specify from the base node of the facet which facet you want to navigate into. In our case, it's the recipe tags. Then you get a set of values that belong to that facet. And when you click through to that, you again get the opportunity to dive into a particular facet. And because we only specified one, we will only see recipe tags. But if we have other properties that were also part of this faceted navigation, then they will be shown here as well. So at every step, you get the opportunity to navigate through to a different facet. Great. So if we click here now, we can see actually these recipes that all have the Italian tag have all these different values as well. So that's pretty cool. So it was pretty straightforward to set this up. And now the last step that we want to go do is use our XIN Mods npm module to be able to read these values from the repository. So let's switch to our IDE and let's create a new test. Let's call it facets test.js. Great. Now it's going to be a bit of boilerplate, so I'm going to include the XIN Mods module, and we're going to start a new test. And it's going to be asynchronous, and it should get a list of facet tags. Here we go. Now, as always, we're going to create our connection first. So we're going to connect to our local host because that's where our CMS is currently running. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this connection object to invoke a function called getFacet@path. And it has a number of parameters. And one of them is mandatory, which is the base path at which the facet lives, which in our case is this node right here. So this is the value. And then the second parameter is the child path. So what we want to do is say, okay, let's navigate into XIN Mods recipe tags, for example. Great. And then the third one, I believe, is options. So options map. And here you can specify fetch instructions and stuff like that. But this one will be the most common one that you'll use. Okay, so let's start using it. So let's go and get a facet item. It's going to be an asynchronous operation, so let's await. Okay, let's go and get our facets from the recipe tags. And let's pretend like we've navigated into our recipe tags facet. Great. And let's see what kind of results we're getting back. So let's quickly run this in the debugger. Great. Okay, so you can see here that if we compare, so we're saying we're in this facet and we've clicked on this one. In this facet, I clicked on this one. So we should be getting a list of these values, which is true. So we're getting a list of these child facets with their count. And also we're getting a set of results, which are all the documents that are currently belonging to this part of the Faceted Navigation. So that's within here. Great. So that's pretty straightforward. So let's try and go one level deeper. So let's say, yep, cool. We wanted to go in here, and someone selects the Italian tag. Great. So if we run this again, now you can see there are 3 results that all have Italian in them. And the child facets is a set of facets that were defined in the initial node. So the next step is if you want to again see which tags belong to the selection of just the Italian tag, we add the XIN Mods recipe tags here, and then again we can see, oh, okay, so for every document that has the Italian tag, these other documents, these other tags exist in these quantities. And so that's how we can keep building our faceted navigation tag. Great. And that's how you can request information about faceted navigation nodes from the repository using the XIN Mods. Yeah. So, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of thing, check out the playlist that popped up on the screen. If you want to be notified when a new tutorial appears, make sure to subscribe. See you next time.